George didn't cry. All he said was, "Get the kids in the car. Load it up with our belongings. We're going on to California. We're not staying here a day longer." "Tom, what makes you think this way?" "I feel it. I know it. I ain't told you, but the wheat ain't healthy. You know yourself this ain't decent land for grain, yet here it is, and it ripens in patches a little bit each day. That ain't right, and as soon as I cut it, it rots. And the next morning, without any help, it's taken root and started to grow again. Last Tuesday, I felt it strong, like liquor running through me, and when I cut one wheat swath, it was like ripping my own flesh, and I heard somebody scream, and it sounded just like my mother. And now, today, this letter." George shifted uneasily in his chair, feeling sucked clean and full of hot fire. Molly's fingers tightened around the letter hard. "We're not going to California, Tom. We're staying on here no matter what. Molly, we're staying on here. We're sure of eating and sleeping. We're sure of living decent and living long. Look here, Tom, I'm not raising my children like skin and bones again." The sky was blue through the windows. The sun slanted in, touching half of Molly's very calm face, shining one eye bright blue. 4 or 5 water drops poised, purled, and fell from the faucet slowly, shining before George sighed. The sigh was husky and resigned. He nodded, eyes closed. "All right, Molly. You're right, I guess. We'll stay." He picked up the scythe. The words on the metal leapt up with him with sharp glitter. "Who wields me, wields the world. We'll stay." Next morning he walked to the old man's grave. There was a single fresh sprout of wheat growing in the center of it, the same sprout reborn that the old man had held in his hands weeks before. He talked to the old man, getting no answers, but still talking. "You knew you were going to die. You worked the field for all your life because you had to. And one day you came across your own life growing there. You knew it was yours. You cut it. You went home, put on your grave clothes, and your heart gave out and you died. That's how it was, wasn't it? You passed the land on to me. And when I die, I'm supposed to hand it over to someone else." George's voice held awe in it. "How long a time has this been going on? With nobody knowing about this field and its use except the men with the scythe." Quite suddenly, George felt old. The valley seemed ancient, mummified, secretive, dried, and bent and powerful. With Indians danced on the prairie, it had been there. When the Indians danced on the prairie, it had been there. The same sky, the same wind, the same wheat. And before the Indians, some Cro-Magnon, gnarled and shag-haired, wielding a crude wooden scythe, perhaps, crawling down through the living wheat. George returned to work. Up, down, obsessed with the idea of being the Grimm Reaper. He himself, Tom Jorg. It burst upon him in a mad, wild surge of strength and horror. Up, who wields me, down wields the world. What power for a simple Kansas farmer. He began accepting the job as a sort of makeshift philosophy. It was simply his way of getting food and lodging for his family. They deserved eating, living decent after all these years. Up, down, each grain of life, a smile he cut in half, and he realized suddenly, if he planned it carefully and thought about it enough, why, he and Molly and Tom and Susie could live forever. If he could find the place where the grain grew that represented himself and Molly and the kids, they would be immortal. He would never cut it. Just then, as if at a signal, it hit him. Molly, Tom, and Susie, right there at his feet. Their wheat, their grain, their symbols. One more stroke of his scythe, and he'd slice them all away, and they'd be dead. Molly, Tom, Susie, he was certain of it. He was positive. Trembling, he knelt down and looked at the 3 strands of life. The energy of them struck at him. It wasn't fair. So soon after he'd been forced to kill his mother, and now on the heels of it, after ages of unfair starvation, sweating and praying, this was his reward. He had to kill Molly and young Tom and his sister. He didn't. He grabbed the scythe and ran back to the house. Molly thought it was awfully strange when he came in, kissed her on the cheek, giving no reason for it at all. Over his dinner of pork and white bread and cool milk, he worried quietly, watching the kids running around in the yard. Molly said, "You quit work early today, Tom." She poked unconsciously at the pork sizzling in the pan. Does the wheat still rot when it falls?" Tom nodded. She dished him more pork. "Keep trying. Someday it'll be healthy. Write to an agricultural bureau. Have them come look at it." "No." "Don't act that way. I just suggested, that's all." Tom's eyes dilated. "I've got to stay here on my life. Can't nobody else mess with the wheat. They wouldn't know where to cut. If I cut the wrong parts." "What wrong parts?" "Nothing." He chewed slowly. "Nothing at all." "Tom, the government man be the best thing for that wheat." George pushed his plate aside. "Quick, put his fork down." "Why? Who knows what they might do? They might even want to plow the whole field under." Molly nodded. "That's what it needs," she said. "And start all over again with new seed." George stood up and went to the door. "You still don't believe what I said about the Scythe, do you?" She ate. "No, Tom, I don't, and please don't talk about it." Tom pushed the kitchen door open. "I'm not writing any government, and I'm not handing over the cutting of this field to no stranger ever." No matter how he felt about killing his wife and children, he couldn't neglect what was left of the wheat. People had to die, that was his job, making sure they did. He detoured around that place where Molly and Tom and Susie's wheat grains grew up in the sun, and started using his scythe on the far end of the field where he knew he wouldn't cut them by mistake. He didn't like it. By the time an hour had passed, he had been responsible for the death of 6 of his old love friends: Joe Spangler, William March, Lars Johnson, and all the others back in Kansas. Instinctively, he read their names and lives as he cut dead wheat. It was then that George couldn't take it any longer. He brought the scythe back to the house, locked it in the cellar, and threw the key away. He was done being the Grimm Reaper, done for good and all. That evening he sat on the front porch, smoked his pipe, telling the kids stories so that he could hear them laugh. But they didn't laugh much. They seemed quiet, tired, and funny, like they weren't his children anymore. Funny. Molly complained of a headache, dragged around the house a little, and went to bed early and fell into a deep sleep. That was funny too. Molly always stayed up late and was full of vinegar. The wheat field tugged at him like a strong magnet. It wanted cutting. It didn't like being neglected until tomorrow. Certain stocks, certain lives required reaping now. George swallowed quietly. Moonlight rippled over the wheat like a silver sea. What would happen to the world if he never went into the field again to carry out his ordained job? What would happen to people who were ripe for death and waiting for the scythe? He would wait and see. He would sleep on it. Molly was breathing softly when he blew out the oil lamps and went to bed, but he couldn't sleep. He kept hearing the wind in the wheat, feeling the hunger in his arms to do the work. The grain called to him. In the middle of the night he found himself walking in the field with a scythe in his hands, walking like an automaton, crazy with fear, drugged with terror, but walking and walking. He didn't remember unlocking the cellar door, getting the scythe, but here he was, awake in the moonlight, walking in the grain. Among these grains there were many who were old, weary, wanting so very much to sleep. They pleaded with him in small, silent voices. "Sleep. Give us sleep. The long, quiet, moonlit sleep." The urge of the scythe was insane and incredible. It held onto his hands, grew there, forcing him to walk. Somehow he managed to get free of it, throw it down, and run away from it, around a small hill where he stopped and went down on his knees. "I don't want to kill him more, please. I don't want Molly dead and the kids. If I work with the scythe again, I'll have to kill him, please. Don't make me do that. Don't ask me to do that."